Thanks.
All right, and we're recording. We're live. Welcome to the Movie Bros podcast, your favorite podcast where you come to watch or listen, depending on how you choose to consume this podcast. Your favorite podcast to watch or listen people talk and review old and new movies. I am Neri Science. With me again is Hilda,
Hello, world.
tabletop gamer girl. We are here today to discuss to review 2023's Plane. Was it 23 or 22?
20, this year, 2023. I'm
2023's
like, we're in
Ger-
2023, right?
Gerard Butler's Plane. I was about to say Gerard Depardieu. Gerard Butler's Plane and the 2000 cult classic Final Destination. I don't even know if that's a cult classic. I think that's just a,
Heavy sigh.
it's a regular classic.
It's a
Anyways, so
thing. It's just a
it's a
thing that
thing.
happened in 2000.
It kept happening though. Every
It kept
every every
happening
few years
over and over and
over again.
over.
All right. So the official. Hold on. Sorry. Plain movie review. I was gonna say a movie synopsis. I'm sorry. Plain. The official the synopsis for the movie Plane is pilot Brody Torrance saves passengers from a lightning strike by making a risky landing on a war-torn island, only to find that surviving the landing was just the beginning. When dangerous rebels take most of the passengers hostage, the only person Torrance can count on for help is Louis Gaspar, as an accused murderer who was being transported by the FBI. That's a pretty decent synopsis. Got to be honest with you.
Yeah,
It was
it's
it
like
wasn't too vague. It
two,
wasn't
sen-
too. It was good.
two sentences right to the point.
Hey, Mike. Mike is there.
Exactly what we.
Whoa!
Oh,
Mike, you made it.
I made it. Did it.
surprise
I thought you.
guest.
I
I'm too
didn't
much
think
of
you.
a people pleaser. I had to come.
I didn't think you were gonna make it, Mike.
Yeah.
Please
What's up?
welcome Mike Valdez from the Child Like a Best with Mike Valdez podcast, and you could watch him and follow him on all his social media.
Yeah,
And his website is
that
thatkidfromup.com.
is very true.
And like I said in last week's podcast, if you have questions as to why that's his website, if you look at him, you'll see. You'll see. Thatkidfromup.com.
Yep.
We just talked about the synopsis, Mike. You walked in right in as we were talking about the synopsis
Perfect.
for the movie Plane. Did you get to watch Plane?
I saw half of it.
Okay.
I've seen all of Soul Plane, so I'll just fill in the gaps.
To the listener, we usually watch all the movies, but Mike there was a change of schedule, so Mike there was a misunderstanding in the it was like a confusing
Yeah.
which night type of deal. So what's your Hilda? What's your overall synopsis or overall thought process of Plane?
So when I saw this trailer, I got excited because I love Gerard Butler movies. I love P.S. I Love You. I love 300.
Mhm.
And
Wow, what a wide spectrum those two movies are. The
I
two
know,
examples you
right?
chose are
Hey,
super
we're
wide.
just gonna, you know what? Like I like his range, right?
It's
And I
every
feel
white
Sure.
like
woman's favorite movie. Every white man's favorite movie.
Mm,
I'm
preach.
Hispanic. I just
I
learned
love
English
it.
really young, so I got.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a yeah. Anyway, I could talk about Gerard Butler also for a while, but I'm not going to yet. Um, but yeah, this movie was fun. I got exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was not too deep. Um,
You know what this movie was missing?
action.
Gerard Butler shimmy.
It
I
was.
needed
Yes. Can
I
we get
needed
a
a Gerard
Gerard
Butler
Butler
shimmy.
shimmy?
Um, so you like the
Yeah,
movie? Did you like the movie?
I did. I mean, it was fun. Like I said, it's not too deep. It's exactly what I expected. It was an action movie, not too didn't take itself too seriously. Um, Gerard Butler and Mike Coulter and Tony Goldwyn just kind of carried the movie for me. I like all
Yeah.
three of those actors, so I was like, I'm good. You know, it's okay.
Mike, you only saw half, but
I did.
how did you feel?
I saw. I thought it was pretty like this is one of those movies, and I don't want to like ruffle any feathers for anybody that likes this movie, but it feels like once I saw the trailer, I was like, I saw it. You know what I mean? Like, and from what I saw, I was right. But to be fair, love Mike Coulter. In my top 5 of like the sexiest dudes ever. And yeah, man. Other than that, I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, these 2 movies are literally the worst movies you can watch while you're on a plane. So
Pretty much. And Soul Plane, those 3.
yeah,
Uh,
Soul Plane is pretty bad too.
So I saw the trailer for Plane, and I gotta be honest with you, from the trailer, I was just like, oh, it's just I feel like Gerard Butler and Leslie, what's his name?
Leslie Jones.
No, the dude from Taken.
Oh, oh my
Liam
gosh.
Neeson?
Liam Neeson. I was thinking Leslie Nielsen.
Liam Nielsen
Yeah.
and Gerard Butler. I feel have from watching the trailer of Plane, I thought it's another Gerard Butler action movie. It's like the same copy and paste. It's all like the Angel Has Fallen,
Yeah,
the
those
Olympus
movies.
Has Fallen, like all of those movies. And I just thought it's another one of his. The badass. I'm the it's like a Rambo's this like today's version of Rambo. Again, nothing wrong with that. I just thought, oh, it's another one of his movies, right? Same thing I
Yep.
think about when I see this guy from Taken in anything. I'm like, oh, it's the guy from Taken in the snow, the guy from Taken in like what, like it's just
An
the guy.
episode of Atlanta.
Yeah, it's just the same thing. I will say I disagree with both of you. I thought the trailer was very deceiving, and I thought that the trailer was another Olympus Has Fallen, and Gerard Butler doesn't do the action in this movie. That's left to Mike Coulter, which, by the way, makes perfect fucking sense for the character.
Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Luke Cage. Like, it makes perfect sense, and I dug the fact that Gerard Butler, while he was in the British Air Force, he just knows how to fly a plane really well.
Yeah,
He's
he's like, I'm a
not
pilot.
Yeah, I'm a pilot. He's not like I'm a badass sniper as well as a pilot. It's not like, oh, I thought they were gonna be like, who's the pilot? What's going on? And he's like, he's a 3rd-degree black belt, Green Beret. And what? Like that's always the case, and it's not.
Yeah, it was kind of a nice surprise. He's like, look, I got balls. Like I'm like up for this.
Yeah,
I don't know how it's gonna go, but okay.
I love the fact that he
rescue
was
these
like,
people.
look, I know how to fight because I'm Scottish. It doesn't have nothing to do. Like I don't like I could bar fight and I could throw hands, but I can't.
bro.
Even that, it's not like the other guy's gonna land some really good hits on me. So he's not like indestructible. He didn't seem indestructible to me. So I really dug that. I really dug that he had a problem with killing. I really dug. I dug that his as a character, he was like, I prefer not to kill, and I have a conscience about it, and whatever. And then he left it up to Luke Cage, and Luke Cage is like, nah, I got this. I'll kill these motherfuckers right here. Click, 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 click. And then he was like, oh, okay, that's you thing.
Well, that's kind of his thing, though.
But yeah.
He's
Yeah,
like, okay,
but
cool, teamwork. Like
I mean, they said it from the beginning, like he's a murderer.
Yeah. I love the fact that Gerard Butler's heroism in this movie was not of the physical type. It was of his acts of bravery. He was like, I'll give myself up. I'm the captain of the plane, and I'll give myself up if it means being able to save everybody else. And I thought that was really cool. I was like, good. That's all.
Yeah.
Like, I really fucking dug this movie. And I disagree, Hilda, that it wasn't a deep movie. I thought this was really in the sense of like, hey, these are people trying to get to their families and don't get me wrong, I can nitpick the fuck out of this and be like, really? A New Year's Eve flight has 14 people? Really? We're not gonna okay.
Yeah, my notes were nitpicky too.
Yeah, I was like, man, okay, but I let that shit go because I know I'm a constant fly. I fly often. I travel often for my job, so I know a thing or two about flights. I'm like, there's no way a New Year's Eve flight has only 14 people. Get that?
Yeah, and by all means, like when I say not deep, I mean like it's what I expected it to be, right? Like
it's a popcorn movie.
And yes, it was a surprise that like the characters were a little bit more realistic. I totally agree with you there, but overall, it was exactly what I thought it was going to be, and that's not a negative thing. You know what I mean? I don't mean that in I don't mean that by the way. I mean it was
I
like
think I'm
good
just
old
getting.
fashioned. It was just good old fashioned fun. It's like there's this
I
thing that
think
happens.
I'm
Yeah.
becoming really bad at reading trailers because the last few movies that I've seen, I'm like, I thought the trailer looked good, and there's like the movie was trash, and then this movie, the trailer I thought was like very predictable, and it just the movie itself just threw me off. Not that it wasn't an action movie because it still was an action movie, but
Mm.
I love the way it built up the tense atmosphere in the plane going down. I think they spent a lot of time on the flight, on the initial flight. And by a lot of time, I'm meaning it was like 25 minutes of the movie, the first 25 minutes of the movie. The movie's an hour and a half long, hour and 40 minutes long. 25 minutes is a good portion of the movie to do the initial. Because again, the movie's called Plane. We know, right from the trailer, we know it's going to land in some jungle. So I thought they were going to get to that quicker. And when they did it, I wasn't disappointed. I was like, "Oh, this is really good." They're building up the tension of the
Yeah.
flight, the building, and like it was really well done. I really really dug it. I really hated that fucking douchebag passenger. And if like I was like the one time I was like, "Oh, if somebody has to die," I'm not saying I want him to die, but I'm saying if somebody has to die,
There's got to be
please
one.
please let it be that guy.
To be fair, that's how I feel when I'm on any flight. You know.
You're the one. You should be the one. Yeah, no,
Remember
so
my
I don't know.
hand.
I always
dug this. I dug
That's
this.
always my biggest fear on like our long haul flights. So like my family lives in Spain. So,
Mm.
if we're going somewhere domestic, okay, it's like 2 hours, 4 hours, but like when we're doing those long hauls and it's like 11 hours of travel, I'm just like, please don't let there be one on this flight.
I'm going to Spain in a couple of weeks. Hold on.
Nice.
Oh, you are? Where
Yeah,
you
I'm
go? Well,
taking
we can have that conversation later, but
I'm taking a cruise over there and then flying back from Spain.
oh, okay.
So
Well, if you have any time on land, let me know where you're going. I'll tell you where to go.
I want to go where they take 2 hour breaks. Where's that?
Where they oh,
The
everywhere. My
yeah, the
family
entire
shuts
country.
down.
The
My family
entire
has a
country.
yeah, my like everywhere. My family has a bakery and they shut down for like 4 hours in the afternoon. So,
Isn't it just called closing early? Why do they open up again? Why do they
well, no,
open
they
up?
close they close
Nuts,
at like noon and then they open back up at 5.
nuts, nuts. All right.
Um
So
anyway,
uh
we got
I
we got
took this
derailed.
we got well man, we got yeah, this is our thing. This is our brand, derailing.
It's our layover. We had a layover.
That would have been
Yeah.
another good pairing for this plane movie to do the train
Terminal?
movie with Denzel Washington.
Yeah,
It
that's true.
would have been a good one because it would have been planes and trains.
Nice.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah.
The
Um.
comedy.
So but I don't know. I really dug this movie. I really dug the heart of this movie. I found myself liking it way more than I thought I was gonna like it. I was like, oh, this is actually really good. This is and I thought I was gonna like it just fine. I never thought. I just thought it was gonna be a more straightforward action movie than it ended up being. And I like it. I dug it. I dug the fact that the head of the company wasn't a fucking dirtbag for once. We see a movie where the head of the company of a disaster is not just about dollars and cents. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was all right. I was like, all right. And plus, it's what's his name? What's his name? Hilda, the actor.
Oh, Tony Goldwyn. So
Tony
he
Goldwyn.
he's like their PR. He's like
Oh, is that
their
what he is? I thought he was the owner of
yeah.
the company.
No, he's like I'm pretty sure he was like the PR hotshot that like comes in. But I just love his just like no bullshit approach. He's just like he's just like, yeah, we're going into like a disaster mode. But he's like, I know some guys. I know some guys I'm gonna call.
Really,
And then
man,
that whole
the way
crew
he-
like rolls in with their own equipment. You're just like, what? You're like you said before, Nair, it's very Rambo at that point.
Yeah, it was very much.
It was great.
It was very. But again, Rambo. It's like if it's such a weird thing that Gerard Butler gets top billing in this movie, not because he doesn't deserve it, but like even the poster has him like with a machine gun, and not that he didn't have a machine gun in the movie, but he barely shot it, and it's like culture. My culture was way more of the military guys. I don't know, but
I mean,
but
he's a military guy, but
I think Gerard Butler did deserve top billing. Let me clarify. I just the way the poster was set up, the way the trailer was set up is like it's like he was helping the pilot as opposed to the other way around. It's like I was, you know, he was kind of leading him on. So, but anyways, my opinion. Yeah.
I kind of want to spoil something for myself here because I haven't seen the second half of the movie.
All right.
But what is the deal with the daughter?
Oh, she's a prostitute.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, no, kidding.
Okay, no. Because here's the thing. I'm glad you went here. Okay, because I was gonna
I know where you
say,
were going because I know
what
you
is her performance? Because she is FaceTiming her dad and biting her lip like daddy means something else to her. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean, but I just like the fact that you went there. It's so
Bro,
cool.
I wrote it down in my notes. I said, "Am I watching an incest porn by accident? Like, what is happening right now?"
I
Accident
did not
in
pick up
hard
on that,
quotes.
but
Hard quotes. I didn't pick up on that either, Mike. I got to be honest with you. I didn't
That's
pick up on that either.
completely what I got from it. That's
Yeah.
completely what I
okay.
got from it.
You're
I
you're on
got
that island by yourself, dude.
yeah, man. You're on that island with rebels by yourself because
I
that
guess.
was. But I will
I'm like,
say,
did you watch the correct movie called
yeah,
Plane? Are we
yeah.
I
talking
hope
about
so. I
Were you
hope
watch
so.
Were you watching snakes that are playing?
Maybe.
But
Maybe.
you know what I did like the daughter, I will say she didn't give a bad performance, but I will say
Gave a confusing one.
not no again you're alone on that one, but I do agree that she could have been more worried about her dad.
Yeah.
I think
My only thing is the only reason why I say that is just because from her performance, I was thinking there was something else that they weren't telling us.
no, you
Does
find
that
out
make
late.
sense?
I don't know if you found out that his wife died. And
Oh
then
yeah, I knew that.
his wife died, and then
But that
he hasn't been home because he's a pilot, so he chose work over and then it's a whole thing.
yeah.
So that's kind of the dynamic of like, and then now they're rebuilding their relationship, because he's trying to be there more often. That's kind
Yeah.
of that thing. But that was it.
No, I definitely got that far. It was just I don't know, it was just that the way that she was looking into that camera was just like, what in the world?
Yeah.
What FaceTimes their dad
I
with
didn't
her?
get that at all. But again,
Yeah.
maybe I wasn't looking for that.
To be fair, I was looking for no, I'm kidding.
But oh, I found out who he was. By the way, I read up on who he was. He plays the crisis manager.
So he's good at being managers?
No, the guy that Tony Goldwyn.
Tony,
what's
yeah,
his name?
Tony
The
Goldwyn.
PR guy?
So he's not a
Yeah.
PR guy. He's a crisis manager.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So like he's the one in charge of the crisis. Yeah.
Which
So,
I mean, that's kind of what your PR team does
yeah,
too.
yeah.
PR
Yeah.
team does, you know,
But
they
he
do
did
crisis management.
he did say I need everybody on PR working every angle. Like he was like I
Right.
need everybody. Like he did make that statement. So I get that. That makes sense.
I love when he's like, if you have New Year's Eve plans, I just canceled them. Not just
Yeah.
like they're canceled, but he's like, I just canceled them.
Yeah. Also, yeah, that I like the writing in this movie. Like they made everybody, they gave you apparently they must have done like what's the bare minimum of characters we could have on a plane that will just carry the whole spectrum of people. The quiet
Mhm.
people, the lovey-dovey couple, the asshole jerk, you know what I mean? Like it's like the young girls on social media. Like it's like
Mhm.
we need one, but we don't need more than that. We just need one of each, but that's it. So and they're like 14. All right, 14 it is. Here we go. This is the number we're
Like
going
one
with.
of each trope.
Yeah, one of each trope. It was
Yeah.
funny. I was like, oh, okay. And then I don't know, man. I just dug this
I
movie.
mean, their budget was only 25 million, so
Yeah, it made some money, right? I'm
And
sure
they-
20 of that was to Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
right.
And
The other
then
5. No, I'm just kidding.
the box office was 55 million. So it made his money back
It
and then
doubled.
some. I'm surprised that it only cost 25 million in the sense because there's not many set pieces.
Mhm.
If you look at it from a production standpoint, there's not many different set pieces, but
Right.
there are large set pieces. Like you have to get a plane, right? Unless I was all CGI, like from the outside, everything was a plane.
They filmed it in Puerto Rico, I believe. So That I'm sure
Oh,
that cut cost too. Not having to travel halfway across the world to film it.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
And plus
filmed pretty close
catering must have been super cheap, so that saved a lot of money there.
Hmm.
and
Um,
delicious.
and delicious. No, no, of course, delicious.
That's
But yeah,
usually what brings a movie down is if catering is expensive. So
I'm sure that's the breaker.
yeah,
Not the CGI, not the
yeah.
top
yeah.
billing actors.
You know what it is?
Every time I'm on set, I'm like, wait, they have Cheez-Its in this bitch? We're making money.
That's what happened with Waterworld. It
Yeah.
was like the
It was only
movie
water.
itself was fine, but
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, this guy wants calamari every day." Jesus.
Oh
It's gonna
wow,
take
that's
some
nuts.
money. So what would be your review, Hilda, from in your rating, in your rating and your rating system?
I'm gonna go 3.8 out of 5 canceled New Year's Eve plans.
3.8 out of 5. Wow, that's a very specific. All right, 3.8. 3.8 out of 5. Mike, where
I
are we
almost
going?
went 4. I almost went 4, but I was thinking about all the other movies that I've given 4s, and so I really enjoyed this because it was just fun. But I'm like, I got to go a little bit under, so that's why I chose 3.8.
Okay. Okay.
I would give it 3. Should have seen the whole thing. The only reason why is just because I would recommend it, which we always say a 3 is a recommendation.
Right.
But having this conversation with you is making me feel like FOMO, kind of just like, man, like I should have watched this whole thing, like it, because it seems like it got a lot better.
I just dug it, man. I don't know. I just dug the fact that it went against the trope that I expected from the trailer. And again, maybe because of the star of the movie, it was Gerard Butler, so I just expected him to do his Olympus Has Fallen thing.
Right.
And he didn't quite do that. He was still a hero in many ways, just not in the I'm here to kill people and take names and chew bubblegum and kick ass type of way. But it was great. I'm gonna go 4.5. I'm gonna go 4.5 empty fuel lines out of 5 because they were only
Okay.
able to empty one. I dug this movie. So the Rotten Tomato critics gave it a 77, certified fresh, 77%. Do you think, Hilda, have you looked at the score yet?
Yes,
Okay.
I
Mike,
always do.
I'll
do
play.
you think it's higher or lower? Hilda hasn't learned. Do you think it's higher or
No.
the viewers are higher or lower than the 77 certified fresh? And if
It's
you do,
77 certified fresh.
that
I
is
think.
by critics. Do you think it's higher or lower, and by how much?
Audience score?
Mm.
Question mark. Question mark.
I always think I always like to go that it's higher, because usually when an audience likes something, they're always like 10 out of 10 stars, and that adds up after a while. So I would say higher. I think I'm going to go 82.
82. Well, it is higher, but it's 94.
Oh, wow. People really like
94.
this movie.
And 161 critics reviewed it, and over 1,000 audience members reviewed it.
Yeah.
So it's up there, man. It's up there.
It's a fun watch. I mean,
I'm glad I bought it. Like I was resenting buying it. I'm like, fuck, I gotta buy this movie. All right. And I bought it, and then I was like, fuck, I'm glad I bought this. Because I've bought other movies for this podcast that I do not feel the same way. Right?
It's just
Perfect.
You know what else I love too is that the whole thing's like under 2 hours. You know what I mean? It's under 2 hours. It's fast paced. It's a good story.
It's like it takes off quickly,
just-
and
yeah.
then it lands. It lands it, and then that's what you need from a good story, from a good film. All right, let's. That's the end of Act 1. Let's get to Act 2. 2000's Final Destination, the original, the first Final Destination that spawned I don't know how many sequels. I don't know how many.
Too many.
There's a TV show, right? Isn't it a TV show, Final Destination TV show?
No,
Oh,
I think you're thinking of
Jesus, is
Scream.
it?
I think you're thinking of Scream.
Maybe.
Yeah, Scream.
I don't know.
became a
At this
super
point,
show.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the
Please
synopsis
freaking-
for Final Destination is Alex Browning is embarking on a trip to Paris. Alex experiences a premonition And I like the fact that they give the definition of a premonition. Premonition. He sees the plane explode moments after leaving the ground. Alex insists that everyone gets off the plane, and 7 people, including Alex, are forced to disembark. All watch the plane actually explode in a fireball. He and other survivors have briefly cheated death, but will not be able to evade their fate for very long. One by one, these fugitives from fate fall victim to the Grim Reaper. So, Hilda, I know you're a fan of horror movies and this likes to fancy yourself a horror movie. So I'm gonna ask you, what were your thoughts on this movie?
So I gotta say, rewatching this after not having seen it in a really long time, and it was just not as fun as I remember it being. To use like my word of the night, fun. I went to see this in 2000 when it came out, and we were all like, "Oh my god!" And then like two came out a couple years later, and I mean, not for nothing, but like an entire generation was in fact traumatized into with that log scene on the highway.
Yes,
Like,
on the
we'll
highway.
never drive by, and I get it. That's two. We're talking about one. But man, I hadn't seen one in so long. And so I was like, I'm gonna, it's on HBO. I'm gonna put it on and rewatch it before tonight. And I rewatched it and I was just like, oh my God. Like what? Like
Yeah.
just it was halfway through, I was just not even wanting to finish watching it. So yeah, that's my overall. I don't know if it's just that I've seen so many other really good, just movies that are kind of trying to be this, or or
Yeah.
like or like
Inspired.
in reverse, I should say, right? Like, yeah, I don't know, and like just better, like just have done it better since. So I don't know, but for its time, I remember in 2000 with my friends leaving the theater, being like, "Oh man, that was so scary," thinking about like your next plane flight. So mixed feelings from when I first saw it to rewatching it now.
Mike.
Well, I wasn't allowed to watch this movie when it came out. I was in 5th grade,
Okay.
and I was not allowed to. So what I did was I watched all of the sequels
To the audio
until
audience, Hilda and me are rolling our eyes at how young Mike is.
yeah, I'm
No,
40
I'm
today.
not. I'm
A piece
actually
of me hates him.
I'm taking a sip from my cup, going like doing math in my head.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, I was young, and not to mention I had religious parents, so it wasn't gonna happen anyway. But I did, however, manage to sneak all of the sequels. So I saw all of the sequels before I saw the first one. I did the same thing with Back to the Future. Have no idea how I understood the movies, but didn't see the first one until I had seen 2 and 3. So I recently watched Final Destination for this podcast for the first time, and I kind of felt the same way that you did, Hilda, except part of me was thinking, well, what was something like this kind of the first time anybody had ever done something like this? Because I was so like callous from like the horror movies that I've seen, where I'm just like, this isn't anything that I haven't seen before. But at the end of the day, I was like, but this movie came out so long ago, so
Right.
like I have to kind of judge it by that merit. And not to mention, I also have to judge it by the merit of like it was 2000 and like it stars the kid from The Little Giants. You know what I mean? And like people are like, "Wait a
Who
second,
was in the Little Giants?
I did."
No, but who was he in the Little Giants?
Oh, he was the quarterback.
Oh, the
The
good-looking kid.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
still the
okay.
good-looking kid in Final
I
Destination.
don't think he did. I don't think so. I think he grew up to be a little goofy looking. I'll be
Oh
honest
yeah,
with you.
I agree. He was
I
goofy
literally
now.
thought that as I was watching the movie. I'm like, man, in 2000, this guy was a heartthrob because this guy does not. He will not cut it nowadays, man.
Yeah, I know.
You look at the kids
That's
who are
so
20
funny.
nowadays, you'll be like, holy shit, man, this guy is
We
not
could have
there.
a whole ass conversation about all the heartthrobs from the 90s that they could not make it today.
They couldn't make it. He
But
couldn't.
yeah, I kind of agree with you now that you say it like that. But yes, he's the tonsil hockey guy from the Little Giants. And so there's a lot of that, and you're just like, oh man, like this is the like this like, you know, the next Macaulay Culkin or B Macaulay Culkin like in an R-rated movie. So like, you know, I don't know. I don't, because it's been so long, because I didn't see it in 2000 is what I'm trying to say. Because I didn't see it in 2000, I don't know how to properly judge it, but I tried to give it the benefit of the doubt. And it's fine, Um, but mostly it's just like at the end of the day, it's a cool premise, and most people are just watching it like if they were to watch a Friday the 13th or a Freddy movie. You're not really caring too much about the characters. You just want to see the creative deaths, and that's
Yeah.
really why you're watching it.
Right.
Yeah.
However, the thing that I did like about this movie is like it did kind of play with the fact if a kid did predict something like that and then it happens, how that would affect police, how that would affect the airplane. Like people are like, okay, so were you a part of it? Like that kind of thing. Also, would this movie be different had it been made after 9/11? Like things like that. So yeah, anyway, those are my thoughts.
Yeah. I remember watching this movie in 2000, but I wasn't like one of those like this movie's awesome. I didn't hate the movie when it came out, but I just remember being like, oh, it's just another to quote, it's just another teen movie.
Mhm.
Like I just remember watching it out, which was, I mean, I'm 41 now. When this movie came out, I was 17, 18 years old. Yeah, 18. And I was fine with the movie as far as, whatever. But I did like I since I'm not a horror guy and I've always been a scaredy cat, I try not to watch too many horror movies. But this one was kind of in the zeitgeist so much. So I remember watching bits and pieces of it, never watched the whole thing from beginning to end until today. And like you said, Mike, I always just kind of watched it for like, let's see the creative deaths.
Mhm.
Let's see like how creative these creative deaths are. And in doing so, I neglected to look at everything else, such as story and acting, until today. And
Yeah.
then today I was like, oh wow, this is fucking atrocious.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's
Oh my
awful.
god, this is really, really bad. This
It's
acting
awful.
is like I couldn't like everybody. By the way,
Is
there are legitimate actors who were in other films who did good jobs. So I
Mhm.
blame this on the director for getting this hammy ass performance out of everybody. The
Mhm.
FBI agents, that kid creeps me out, man. The teacher, first of all, can we talk about how bad she is as a teacher, how horrible she is at the memorial?
Yeah.
He was like, "Hey, Mrs. Whatever." She's like, "Don't talk to me. You scare the hell out of me." And I'm like, "Wow,
Yeah.
you're still a
I mean,
teacher, though, lady.
she she was super
You're,
traumatized, though. I mean,
but you're
there's
still a
that.
teacher. You're still a
Yeah.
teacher. What are you
You still have to
really?"
respect people. Yeah.
She would not be at work. She would that would I mean, this is before the mental health days.
Yeah.
They would not have allowed it, but come on.
Before mental health, before 9/11, I mean, there's a lot of things about this
She
movie.
was a really and then again she overacted. Everybody overacted in this movie.
Everybody did.
Everybody
Yeah.
overacted. The anger, the straight anger coming from everybody in this movie, and none more so than Kerr Smith.
Mhm.
The guy who played Carter, that was his name,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carter.
Yeah,
He
Carter
The bully
Horton.
dude.
there was anger for no reason.
Absolutely no
Like
reason.
for no, it's the epitome of like I'm a teenager and I'm angry at the world. This
Yeah.
kid has a hot girlfriend. First of all, there was no need for him to get off the plane. There was no need for him to confront this guy, right? There was not even like a jealous, like, hey, you're talking to my girl, she's my ex-girlfriend. There wasn't even that trope. It was just like Alex starts flipping out. Oh, I gotta get off this plane. And then he's like, hey man, calm the fuck down. And then he stands up and punches him. And like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
You
Like,
would have thought Devin Sawa's character killed his mom. Like,
yes,
I mean, he was just pushing him for no reason,
for no
punching
reason.
him. Like,
And
I
then
mean,
gets off the plane. He sees a plane blow up, right? And then at the memorial, he's like, if you think I owe you a fucking thanks.
my
Like,
favorite
what
line.
the fuck is
What
that?
kind of a dick do you have to be?
Who does that?
That's my
It's
favorite line.
It's so fucking funny. I remember literally laughing, going like, you can't like, are you that angry teenager? By the way, I did the math. He was 28 years old when this fucking movie was made in real life. So as a 28-year-old man,
So he's
he-
playing
he-
a character 10 years younger than
he's playing a
Yeah.
character 10 years younger than, but he would
At
know,
least-
right? Like, if you're 28, wouldn't you look at the fucking at the script and tell the director, I mean, I get it. I'm playing an angry teenager, but this is a little bit too fucking much now, right? Like this is like, let's dial it back a little bit. Like I'm in control of my life.
They're
Like,
like,
oh wow,
they're like,
fucking
no,
thanks.
it's a '90s teen movie. Everyone was this angry.
Yeah, I'd
Everybody
love
was
to see.
everybody was the same except for Stifler, which
Yeah.
you can tell Stifler made a point to be like,
Sean
I'm not
William
being
Scott.
Stifler. I'm not being Stifler in this movie. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
the complete opposite and be a fucking pushover pussy.
Right.
Like,
He was so
complete-
funny
I-
when
I
he
really-
he rolls up on the bicycle and he's just like, hey. When he sees
Yes.
him running out of the teacher's
Right.
house.
hey Alex,
Hi.
and then the house grows up and he's like,
It's funny how like he is playing the opposite, yet still the comedic relief, even though he's in a
course.
different thing.
yeah.
So like
Yeah.
he was still kind of typecast in a weird way, you know.
He, in a weird way, was like my favorite part of the whole movie.
Oh, not even in a weird way. He is the best part of the movie.
I,
Like
I don't like any of these characters, and then the quote unquote deepness of the girl,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
The
clear.
quote-unquote deepness of the girl because she's been through trauma, and it's like, and it's one of those things where you're watching this movie and you're going like, this. She was the most believable part of the movie because when you're a teenager, you believe the world is this deep, and you try
Yeah.
to make everything. You
That's
try to
true.
make everything this dramatic. You try to make everything
Yup.
this deep, and that was the most believable part of the movie. I'm like, I remember thinking, how pretentious is this fucking woman? And then I thought, that is very teenage behavior. That
Yeah.
is
We
very
were
much
all like,
yeah,
we were all like the same age as the
Mhm.
characters in the movie, like when this came out.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Well,
Like we were like,
this is
we were
all
like,
Mike. She means being her. She doesn't mean you.
well, that's yeah, or
I
like
was in
me and
fifth
like,
grade in the movie.
well, like our circle of friends, right? Like that we
Yeah,
all went to see it. I should have been more specific, but like, you know, we were 2000, so we were like either like first year of college or like, you know,
Yeah.
seniors in high school. We were in that range, so like we were kind of the same age as these characters in this movie at that moment, you know. So, and yeah, you're right, Neri. Like everything was just felt so much deeper than it really was.
Everything when you're that age, everything is like her fucking whole monologue she gave when he first visited her house, and she's like, first of all, the fact that she's a sculptor already, like that's just out of the fucking stereotypical fucking deep
Well,
girl handbook.
No,
Every
wait a
character in high
minute.
school. I'm not saying you didn't do it. I'm saying it's very. I'm not saying it's impossible or it doesn't happen.
It's
I'm
not.
saying
I was in AP art, so
I know, but
I
what
spent a
I'm
lot of
saying
time in
is-
the studio.
But what I'm saying is it's very prototypical of like we need the star athlete. We need that, and we need the
Yeah.
art girl. We need the girl who's like deep in art and she does sculptures. It's like, okay, that's
Yeah.
her,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm getting it happens. I knew girls that did sculpting. I get it. But like the fact that again, I just watching this movie and then she was like, this sculpture reminds me of you. Because it also doesn't know why it does what it does, and it still attracts me to it. It's like, what the fuck? Are you hitting on him after his best friend just supposedly killed himself? What
Yeah.
the fuck is happening here? It's such a bad movie, and I wish I would have watched it with other people because I wish I could have laughed with it. I wish I could have been like, hey,
Yeah.
this is fucking like this
It
is
would have been funny
laughable.
it would have been fun
Did
for the
you
three
know
of us to
this-
watch it together.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
This was actually written, and I just learned this because I didn't know this, but this was actually written for an
Well, I'm-
episode of the X-Files.
You actually surprised me by saying it was written. I'm like, oh shit, this is written.
This was completely improvised.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was completely
No.
improvised premise. Like, just
The
here we have
first
a
improvised
premise.
horror
Hold
movie.
it. Give me what you got. It's like,
So this was actually it was written for an episode of the X-Files, and then the director of this, James Wong, and a second director or producer, which I can't remember his name right now, but they encouraged the writer to write it out as a full film instead of just an episode. And so they worked together, and then they liked the project so much, and that's how this whole thing.
James Wong,
kinda-
which directed it, was a co-producer. He's one of the producers of X Files.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a co-producer on the X-Files. And so that's how it came to be a movie, but it was originally just meant to be like an episode on the X-Files.
So
Which
FYI,
like the premise is cool. Like the
Very
idea
cool,
that
yeah.
the idea that like the
I think the premise is
slasher.
fantastic. Yes.
Yeah, like the
yes.
slasher, like the big bad scary thing in this movie is something that you can't see. Like that's terrifying, right?
Mhm.
Absolutely terrifying. And even
Wh-
like little like common everyday things are you're like, is that the thing that's gonna kill him? Is that the thing that's gonna kill him? And
Yeah,
it's like water or a window or
I did appreciate
Your
the fact
shower.
that after the deaths, the things that killed them kind of like retracted. So like the water
yeah.
kind of went back into the toilet. Like it was like, oh,
Yep.
so it wasn't that let the audience know this was not just a coincidence. This was
Mhm.
literally a plan. This was some like this is
Right.
fate type of deal. So I like
Death's
that. It
plan.
showed fate without showing a physical manifestation of fate. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
okay.
I was also glad that they did that because that's the first death after the plane is the water. Like it's the shower death.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I at first thought that that the killer was essentially like the thing from the Capri Sun commercials. I was like, are you joking right now? Like, but then it was like, no, it's supposed to be a bigger metaphor of like,
Okay, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. But the producer, so James Wan, by the way, also produced this is another tie-in. Also produced another movie that we did on Movie Bros in our
mhm.
very first episode, called Black Christmas, and
Oh, I
that
didn't I
movie
wasn't a
was also hot garbage. So there's a tie-in. It
it's
was
funny
actually our
because
second episode, Hilda, because you were on the first episode, but it was actually on the second
yeah.
episode.
I was like,
Mike
I was on the first one. I
Murganon
was like, I don't
and
yeah, it
Mike
wasn't me.
Murganon, I did Black Christmas, and it
okay.
was
Okay.
Yeah,
atrocious.
that movie's really bad.
It's super
How
bad. Like it's all
how
like it's but it had all the same problems this movie had. Like
how
it had all the same
creepy.
bad acting, overly done, overly
Too much
dramatic.
going on.
Yeah. But this
Something
premise
I
is
did
amazing.
not
I dig this premise. I'm sorry, how did cut you off? What were you saying?
and it's okay. Something I did not remember that this time around, I was like, oh snap, was that Tony Todd was in it. The funeral
So
Mhm.
home director is
how's it?
Candyman. And like I totally did not pick up on that in 2000 and I just did not or I did not remember it or
I
I
remember
blocked
that.
it out
That's one of the
because
few things I
Candyman
remembered. That's one of the
because
few things I
Candyman
remember.
was
I
terrifying.
before today I remember two things. I remember Tony Todd being in the movie.
Mhm.
And I remember the shower death when he hung himself. I remember
Yeah.
like those are the
He's
those are the oh the bus. The bus that
Of
runs over the
course.
kid. Those are
oh
the
yeah, the
three
bus.
scenes.
Just
Those are the
drop
three
dead.
scenes that I was like, I remember
He's
very much.
he's so
And
scary. Like
Yeah.
he is
even when he's
Yeah.
not doing scary shit.
When he's just in a room, you're scared.
And
Yeah.
he's just like, I mean, he could be like, good evening. And I'd be like, oh God, that's it. This
Yeah.
is the moment that I die. Like waiting for like
so
a hook to
Tony
get out.
Todd in this movie talks about the plan
The
and
plan. Yeah.
the
Death's plan.
death's plan and how you already survived it, and he already knows who Alex is. He already knows who all these people are. How does he know? We don't know. Never
It's
explained.
Candyman.
He's like,
Because he's
hey,
scary as
he goes, hey, he was my best friend. I know who you are, Alex. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
word, okay. And then proceeds to give like a super creepy monologue, but it's also super creepy and also very confusing while he's still performing shit on the guy's best friend, like putting formaldehyde in his best friend.
Yeah, that was
Which,
really
by
weird.
the way, they did not. I know they kind of like, oh, that's kind of gross, right? But they weren't emotionally broken. Like, oh my god, my best friend is fucking on the table, and I'm just watching people pump chemicals into him, and his reaction specifically, Alex's reaction specifically, was much more of a, "Ooh, that's gross," more than, "Oh my god, my fucking spirit is broken from seeing my best friend dead." Like it was a very weird acting choice. And then Tony Todd proceeds to give this long speech, which he caps off with talking about how you don't want to piss off death because he says you don't even want to fuck with that Mac Daddy. That's a direct quote. Because he goes, if you fuck up, if you divert death's plan, trust me, you don't even want to fuck with that Mac Daddy. And I'm like, okay. And then they literally go, okay, well, talk to you later. Bye. Like they just said bye. I was like, okay. Not the way I
Yeah.
would have gone with it. Not the way I would have gone with it. Super fucking creepy scene. And by
I
creepy, I don't mean
ser-
scary. By creepy, I mean like, why is all this happening?
Yeah.
There was like so much exposition. And then the two kids was just like, we got it. Thanks. Plan. That's the plan.
yeah.
Gotta figure out that's the plan. Got it. Thanks.
I legit did a double take. I was just like, how like how did I not remember this? Just did not at all. Like it was like the first time I was watching it. Like I remember the guy. I remember this. Like like I remember the scene. Like they go to the. I know they go to the funeral home. For whatever reason, had completely blocked that out. Totally gone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's on
yeah.
on another note, one thing that I was thinking, it was more in the first scene when you see everybody and they're all getting ready to go on the plane. This is a comment about the wardrobe and look, I'm not complaining about like the fashion or whatever. I get it. I was alive during that time. I know what fashion was like, all that stuff. But other than the jock who's wearing a Letterman jacket, why are all of the male characters wearing what looks to be the same exact shirt? Like
Well,
it's
it's because it was the
That
2000s and
because
everybody shopped at fucking Aeropostale. So
yeah.
that's fair. Dude,
that's
Well,
everybody was wearing the same shirt. I was like, are you
it was
joking?
it was one of like three places. You either shop like the guys either shopped at like Aeropostale or Abercrombie
Stussy.
or Pacific Sunwear, which is where I
Yeah.
worked,
Wow.
right? And it was
Yep.
like that. A lot of that in the 90s, like that's kind of what you were either like the surfer guy, the beach guy, the jock, like, and they each
They
had
all
like their
look like
stores.
they all looked like they were wearing that because they were all wearing like baggy khakis, which is very
Yeah.
late 90s, early 2000s. And then they're wearing this black shirt. I mean, you could see it in the thumbnail here, this black button down with the white lines,
Yeah.
and it's
Do you
like,
have any idea how many of those I sold? And
Yeah.
then
yeah.
if you were
And how
going
many you
out to
sold to the movie
party,
specifically?
and if you were going out to party on the weekend, it was that same shirt, but it came in like metallics.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Remember
There
the club
was
shirts, Mary?
I'm very yeah. Oh, I didn't go to clubs, but I do remember the shirts in high school. But I
Those were the club shirts.
remember
It was
I was very surprised watching because I was looking for it. I was very surprised that I didn't see more long sleeve shirts under short
Under
sleeve shirts.
under short sleeve shirts.
I
Yeah.
was
yes.
waiting. I was looking
That
for
was
that.
my look.
I was like, "Where's the long sleeve shirts under the
Yeah.
shorts?"
And the big ass
Yep.
skateboard shoes.
Yeah, the
That
pants,
was
the
my
Jenko pants,
yeah, J. Cole.
Jenko
Oh,
pants.
Jenko,
Jenko.
yeah, the
Yeah, the
Jenko
Jenko
jeans,
pants.
yeah.
Jenko jeans. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So, your overall review, your rating and your rating system,
Well,
Hilda.
so real quick, I promise I won't take long, but I did find out one really cool fact too that I didn't know about
Mhm.
this. So 11 of the character names in the film were all they were all given names based on actors, directors, or producers of classic horror movies, dating as far back as like 1922. So like Billy Hitchcock, so Sean William Scott character is named after Alfred Hitchcock. Browning, Devon Sawa, and Todd Wagner. Todd Browning was the director of Dracula in 1931. The director of like Nosferatu in the 20s. So that was kind of like an interesting little tidbit that I
Nice.
found.
That is
I
really
like
cool.
that. That's really cool. By the way,
I've
this
got like a
movie
whole
made-
list. I won't go into it, but it's all online if you want to search it. But it's really neat. It breaks it down to like 11 of the characters and who the person is and what they directed. Someone that was involved with like the Universal horror classic monster. So it's a little interesting deep dive.
That's pretty cool. That is interesting. It
Oh,
made a little bit of money. This movie made a little bit of money. The budget was $23 million and the box office was 112.9.
Yeah.
So
I remember this being a big deal.
yeah, it was a pretty big deal. I mean, they made
Yeah.
27 sequels, so who knows? How many sequels does it actually have?
I think
I-
3.
no, it's like 5.
Is it?
There's
maybe
like
I only
5
caught
or
the-
6 of these.
How many?
The last one I saw was the
Final Destination movies are there? Let's see if Siri knows.
Our second guest star of the night,
Yeah.
Neri's Siri.
yeah, the
It's
last one I
great.
saw was the tanning bed death and the eye surgery death. So whatever one that
Well,
one was.
my rating score, I'm gonna go on this 3 out of 5 Tony Todds.
Tony
And
Todd.
yeah, I'm gonna go 3 out of 5 Tony Todds, and I'm gonna go 3 because I do think it's a film like worth watching. I just don't know how many times you're gonna rewatch it. and it
Yeah.
does have an interesting storyline. So I will go 3 to 5 scary ass Tony Todds.
Okay.
Hmm.
And 5 is the answer, by the way. There's Final Destination, Final
5.
Destination
Okay.
2 and 3, The Final Destination, and then Final Destination 5, which is
Mhm.
hilarious
Okay.
because Final Destination 5 came after the movie labeled The Final Destination.
Yeah.
Um. So, Mike, what would you give it?
I can't decide whether I want to recommend this to people or not. I guess I would recommend it. If nobody's ever seen it and they've never seen a scary movie ever. Yeah, I mean, I guess just 3 out of 5. Oh, that's how he became Casper. That's
There you go.
That's great. Look, the movie had awful acting, horrendous acting, not great writing, and bad directing. And I'm only gonna say a 3 because a 3 is a recommendation. I'm only gonna recommend it because it's such a popular in the zeitgeist movie where you go, it's like a reference, like there's a whole generation of people who will literally not drive behind certain trucks, like open-ended
Yes.
trucks. Like
I'm one of those people.
we're not driving behind those. There's a whole generation full of people like that.
No.
My wife does the same thing. My wife goes, I don't know anything about those movies. I don't remember anything about those movies except for I will not drive behind a log truck. And I'm like, absolutely.
Nope.
we get it. So for that reason, it's kind of like when somebody goes would I personally like what was that, the Rosebud movie? Fuck, why am I drawing a blank now? The old movie with Rosebud, what was it called?
I don't know.
Oh my god, it's like a classic.
Red Rum, The Shining?
No. I love the fact that your mind went there. But
The only thing I can
scary.
think of is the Simpsons reference to Rosebud. I've never seen the actual movie.
so the actual movie is Citizen Kane. Do I like Citizen
yeah.
Kane? Not really. I like old
It's
movies,
important for movies.
but it's important for movies, and especially because of that phrase of the Rosebud reference, which has been redone 10 million times and played. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. Like
The Simpsons.
you should like the Simpsons, right? You should know.
Mhm.
So I'll give it a 3 just because I'll recommend it to people who've never seen it, but just go in there knowing. But I'll give it a 3. 3 surprise bus slams out of 5. Still the best one, man. That
That's
is
really funny. It comes
that
out of
and
nowhere.
that and the decapitation.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's gangster shit right there. That's pretty cool though. Still, like this movie and like movies like this and movies like the movie Saw, I always think, somebody had to sit down and think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody had to think about like, how are we gonna kill this person? It's like, gee, like that's a creepy job.
Yep.
I know you're a film writer, but like you still have to sit there and be like, and then we get a bear trap over her mouth, and you're like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, it's crazy. Talk to
And
me.
the key is inside of her pancreas.
Like,
Like,
what? So that's how I feel about this. But anyways, so go ahead and check those out, guys. Thank you guys for checking out the podcast. Mike and Hoda, you guys are awesome. Make sure you check out at Tabletop Gamer Girl on Instagram. It's Mike Valdez with an S at the end.
Yep.
Not related to our Chad, by the way. Just happened to be Valdez with S's. And go to kidfromup.com and check out my podcast, or check out my website, Nary Signs, or whatwashisname.com. And you guys been great. If you want to recommend movies that you want us to review, whether they're new or old, email us at moviebrospod. That's moviebros with an S. moviebrospod@gmail.com.
Or go ahead and comment too.
Comment. Yeah, comment.
Yeah.
Tag us.
Send us your comments.
Yeah, let us know.
Your suggestions, suggestions via comments.
Suggestions, all of that jazz. Thank you very much. You guys are great. That's how movies are reviewed. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, actually,